Hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. It's so good to have you join me today. I don't plan to make a long video, but I do want to address something that I came across online the other day. And it's from a liberal channel called The Agenda. And in this channel, or on this channel, they have a video with the title of the Trump's reign will end. And I thought that was kind of interesting. So I went in there to watch the video. And you know what it was? It was them trying to make threats. That's what the whole thing was. They were trying to threaten the people that are supporting Donald Trump. And what they were doing was they were saying that they're trying to make out that Donald Trump is doing things that are illegal, which he is not doing. He probably could have tried harder and done some things and maybe got some things done, but Donald Trump's been following the law. Even when it comes down to it and he has to deal with judges, they simply appeal the decisions if they don't agree with them, and they wait until there is a decision that allows them to go forward. But I haven't seen Donald Trump breaking any laws, so I'm not concerned at all about that. Now, it is funny that they're saying that his reign is going to end, because before the election, all these liberals were going around saying that if Donald Trump ever won, that he would set himself up as a king and he would never leave office. There would be no more elections. But ever since Donald Trump won and took office, we've got all these stupid no kings rallies going on and all this kind of nonsense. But these people know better than what they're doing. If they really believed any of that, they wouldn't be doing those rallies, because Donald Trump would simply have people go in there and arrest the entire crowd. A king doesn't allow people to do those kind of things. And we keep seeing these Democrats and liberals go on about how they're going to take back power one day. Donald Trump's, 4 years in office is going to end, and then they're going to come back into power again, and then they're going to get even. That's what they're basically saying. It goes completely against all the things they said before the election, because it was all a bunch of lies. Because really, the only time when liberal Democrats are not lying is when they're not speaking, or they're not writing out stuff on a screen or something or other. Basically, when they're not saying something one way or another. That's the only time liberal Democrats ever seem to be telling the truth. And that's certainly the case here. Now, in regard to these threats they're making, they're basically claiming Donald Trump's doing a bunch of things that are illegal and things he shouldn't be doing. And everybody that's supporting him, once he's gone, boy, they're going to get even with us. They're going to come after us, and they're going to go after everybody that supported Donald Trump. I don't believe that nonsense for 1 second. And neither should you. And you shouldn't be worried about it. What they're doing is they're trying to get us to stop following Donald Trump and stop agreeing with him, because they're afraid of what he's doing. He's been too effective in coming against their beliefs and their agenda and the things that they've gotten passed over the years. He is undoing a lot of the damage that the liberals and progressives have done. And they want us to separate ourselves from Donald Trump and quit supporting him, with threats now that they're going to come after us if they, at whatever point they come back into power. And they are now saying they're going to eventually come back into power. Well, that, again, it proves they were lying the whole time when they were making these claims that Donald Trump was going to be a king. Because if he was going to be a king, he would set himself up, and they would now be the Trump royal family. And even if something happened to Donald Trump, it would have successors, just like every other king does. There wouldn't be any elections, and the Democrats would never get back into power again. Again, they lie all the time. You can't believe anything they say. Goes back to, I'm reminded of what was going on when Mitt Romney was running against Barack Obama. And Harry Reid was going around making claims that Mitt Romney didn't pay his taxes. After the election was over and Obama had won, he admitted that he had lied about that. He knew that Romney was paying his taxes the whole time. But he said he also felt like that lie helped Obama win, and he didn't care. Basically, the ends justify the means. Democrats are like that. They will just lie, and they'll say anything to scare you. Now, I am going to say one thing that I do hope it'll bring some fear into the heart of Republicans. Don't be afraid of them going to get back at us. All that should do is motivate you. If you're a Republican, if you are somebody who supports MAGA and Donald Trump, you need to be afraid of these bad people, the Democrats and liberals, ever getting them into power again. Not because they're going to be able to carry out any of these things they're threatening, but because it should make you see what kind of people they really are, and why we are so blessed to have Donald Trump as the president rather than Kamala Harris. And if it wasn't for the fact that Donald Trump won in 2016, there's no telling America. You wouldn't recognize America today. It would be a disaster, if no other reason than just because of the Hillary-appointed judges. So I am so thankful and grateful that Donald Trump won in 2016 and 2024. And I'm not the least bit concerned about these kind of threats. They're not going to make me back off my support of Trump. If anything, and I would say the same thing to all my fellow Republicans and MAGA supporters. If this should do anything, it should motivate you to help Donald Trump to get everything done as quickly as he possibly can to undo as much damage as the Democrats and the progressives and liberals have done over the years. I once heard one man suggest, we need to repeal the entire 20th century. And, that might be a little extreme, but not by much, because Donald Trump needs to go in there and he needs to undo as much of the progressive so-called progress they've made over the years as he possibly can. Set them back 100 years if he possibly can, and make it very difficult for them to regroup anytime soon. Maybe make it where that they can't get back to where they were in our lifetimes. I mean, that would be something to shoot for. Don't know that we're going to be able to do that, but let's really go for it. Shoot for the moon. Do the best we can to get as much done as possible. And here's what I would say to my fellow MAGA and Republican people out there. Make sure you vote in every single election and vote straight Republican. I don't even care if the Republican candidate has flaws. The worst Republicans are better than the best Democrats. I can say that with confidence. I've been following politics since I was a teenager. And I can tell you, as long as I've been following politics, there hasn't been one single time where the Democratic candidate was better than the Republican. Not a single time that I can ever recall. And I will also tell you this. When it comes down to elections, Democrats, they're not moral people, and they don't care about morality. But every time that a Republican is running, they think we do. And so they come after our candidates, and they try to find any kind of flaw in him, even if they have to make stuff up. But they'll find anything they've ever done wrong. They'll find a way to find out about those things, and they'll make a big deal out of it. And my advice to all my fellow Republicans is ignore those things. The only thing that's going to matter is how they represent us in Washington. How do they represent us at the state and local level? Are they promoting a conservative MAGA type agenda, or even at least a conservative agenda? Or are they going to support a liberal agenda? Because I'm going to tell you, I don't care about that affair somebody had 20 years ago. I don't care about that racist comment that somebody supposedly made, 10 years ago or 20 years ago or whatever. I don't care about any of that kind of stuff, and neither do the Democrats. Because whenever it's one of their people, they will completely defend it and overlook it. Oh, they'll throw a few to the wolves here and there if it's somebody that's not that important and they know they can just put somebody else in place. But when it comes down to anybody that's a major candidate, they will stand with them till the end. They don't care. And that's the way we need to be as Republicans. We need to make sure that we support our candidate no matter what. In North Carolina, during the last gubernatorial election, we had a candidate who had some flaws. His name is Robinson. And we had a choice there. We either could vote third party, we could vote for Robinson in spite of his flaws, or we could allow this Stein guy to get in there, the Democrat. I made a conscious decision that in spite of his flaws, Robinson was a far better choice than having Josh Stein be our governor. Unfortunately, a lot of Republicans, or independents for sure, along with Democrats, decided He just wasn't good enough, and they voted for Stein, and he has been a disaster from day one. What was he so concerned about on day one? We had all kind of problems going on in North Carolina, but what was Josh Stein's number one concern? It was making sure that there was nobody could stop unborn babies from being slaughtered without any restraint. He was doing everything in his power on day one. When we had all kind of problems going on in the state of North Carolina, we had, especially in the western part of the state, because of that natural disaster, his concern was abortion rights. That was it. How many children could be killed? Robinson wasn't perfect, but I still chose to vote for him, and I believe he would have been a much better governor than Josh Stein in spite of any kind of problems that he had. And I have no regrets about that vote. Another thing that I find interesting, if it had been the other way around and the black candidate had been a Democrat, all we'd have been hearing is, well, the reason that he didn't win is because of racism. People just didn't want a strong black man as the governor. But because it's a Republican, oh, no, it can't be racism. Well, I'm going to turn it right around. I'm going to say that racism was a major factor in why Stein beat Robinson. That they didn't want a Republican black man as the first black governor of the state of North Carolina, and they were just too racist. That's the reason. And I'll even say the same thing about neighboring state of Virginia. They had a chance to elect a black woman as the governor of Virginia, but they were so racist they had to turn around and vote for the white woman. Now, whether that be true or not, you judge. But if we're going by the way Democrats play this game, that's what they'd be saying if it was turned around the other way. They'd be claiming it was racism if it was a black Democrat. But because it's a Republican, no, it can't possibly be that. But no matter who the candidate is, it's gotten to the point where there is a clear distinction between the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. Republicans, you need to support our candidates. If you got a problem with a candidate, deal with it in the primary, but don't ever vote for the Democrat. I don't care what kind of flaws you think the Republicans got. We've got to stand for whatever our candidate is against the Democrats. They will do it every time, no matter what kind of flaws their candidates have. They will stand with them. We've got to learn to do the exact same thing. They go off about all their concerns about Donald Trump and how that, Trump did all these terrible things. He had an affair. He supposedly, they had all these accusations about sexual misconduct from years ago. But when Bill Clinton was the president and he was guilty of all kind of sexual misconduct and all kind of allegations, what did they say? Everybody lies about sex. He committed perjury, but everybody lies about sex, and they defended him. That's the way they are. There was even one woman I'll never forget who said that if Bill Clinton would just keep abortion legal, she'd do the same thing for him that Monica Lewinsky did. That's the way the Democrats are. They are loyal to their person to the end. They keep talking about how Donald Trump said that his supporters were so strongly in his camp that he could kill somebody on the streets of New York and we'd still support him. And they like to point to that. Well, I believe the same thing about the Democrats. It doesn't matter what a Democrat does. If it's a choice between a Democrat who has done the worst kind of terrible things, they will still support him over the Republican. We need to learn from that, and we need to show up and we need to vote in every single election, whether it be local, whether it be national, whether it be on a state level. And let me tell you something, even the local elections matter. We had a recent election for the town board where I live, and one of the candidates who was trying to get on there was saying, well, it doesn't matter if I'm a Democrat, these are local issues. Well, that local issues, one of the things that this person was talking about seemed to be indicating that she was supporting policies that would defend undocumented illegal aliens in our country. Basically could have even been like supporting the idea of granting benefits to them and even making our town like a sanctuary town. We've got to be careful. Do not ever support Democrats for anything right now in this climate. We must stand up for our candidates. Again, if you've got a problem with a candidate, the time to deal with it on the Republican side is in the primary. But make sure you get out and vote in every single election. Again, I'm not the least bit concerned about people like at the agenda that there is any terrible thing going to happen because they're going to get back at us. I'm not worried about that at all. But I am saying that people like that, people that support that kind of stuff, we don't ever want them in office again. So I am urging my fellow Republicans, all the MAGA supporters, 77 million strong that voted for Donald Trump. I don't care what Republican is on the ballot. Get out and vote for that Republican candidate. You start hearing them making all kind of claims about all this stuff they've supposedly done and how bad they are. Just ignore it. It's not worth even listening to. And remember that these people out there, they don't care anything about that. If it's their candidate that's got flaws in it, they will defend them to the end. We've got to do the same thing. We are in a type of war in this country, and we need to treat it that way. The Republicans versus the Democrats, the conservatives versus the liberals. And if you are on the same side I am, that is with the conservatives, we need to make sure that we stand up for our candidates no matter what. That's all I wanted to say on today's program. I want to thank you for joining me. And if you are not a subscriber, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel. I'd be honored to have you as a subscriber. And make sure you share information about this channel with your friends. But most important, remember that we are in a real battle for the survival of America. If you love this country, stand up for it by making sure that you show up and support the Republican candidates right now. Flaws or not, the worst Republican will always be better than the best Democrat.